In this video, we're going to be talking about Batman 38 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. My guest with me is Jason Book. Hey, Jason, thanks for joining me.
Hey, anytime, Sam.
So, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are continuing their Endgame storyline with Batman and the Joker, and this one is part 4. We left off in part 3, which was issue 37. Jim Gordon thought he had shot Joker down, but we saw kind of Joker ominously coming up right behind him. And Batman had just saved kind of this little boy who was sort of a stand-in for the Wayne murder. So that's where we left off in 37. What did you think about 38 picking up from that, Jason?
Well, I thought it was very well done. The Scott Snyder Batmans usually, they're kind of dense in a good way. They have a lot of storytelling. They have a lot of kind of interesting backstory about the history of Gotham sometimes. And they kind of hit all the elements that a good Batman comic should. That being said, this kind of exploring that Joker could be, like invulnerable. I don't know if I like that so much. I don't like the idea of someone who's supposed to be the nemesis of Batman as someone who can't die. Maybe we're going to find there's more to it than that. I wouldn't be surprised. It's an interesting concept, but I would have really liked to see what they would have done with it if Jim Gordon actually had killed the Joker, or so it had seemed, and play with that a little bit to finally see that someone had actually put him down. But obviously, for the intents and purposes of the arc, this is what they're doing, and it definitely makes you want to read the next issue, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the storyline for what it is, but I kind of agree with you. So with the City of Owls and the Court of Owls stuff, they did a lot of this history of Gotham. And now with this one, especially in this issue 38, they really go through a lot of this kind of history of Joker and spotting him in all these old photos. And he's now this kind of, like sort of like a Vandal Savage, just like an immortal almost, living for centuries. Which, yeah, to me, I'm enjoying the story for what it is, but I'm kind of a little bit concerned about, this being the canonical Batman story, because for me, one of the things about Batman and Joker is that the whole world kind of thinks Batman should kill Joker, because then that would take care of the Joker problem, and he wouldn't keep cropping back up and up again.
That's it.
And now, if Joker is immortal, then that whole tension of Batman, whether he should kill him, and Batman being noble and not killing him, is kind of taken away because he's immortal. So you couldn't really kill him even if you tried, like Jim Gordon. So for me, it is really changing the Joker relationship to Batman. But for this one story, I'm kind of enjoying it, but I'm just not sure what the repercussions are going to be like down the line.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out to be something different than what it seems now, because Scott Snyder's been really good of like writing his own take on Batman, but none of it has ever gone against anything that's been written before. Even with the 52 reboot, it kind of like incorporated things from all the classic Batman stories. So I definitely think that there's going to be more to this than we've seen.
Yeah, that'll be good to look for. I mean, the way they planted it in all those old photos, though, it's going to be hard to kind of like explain yourself out of those.
That's true.
But be curious to see. And then, so what's your take on the kind of virus situation? So there's actually a virus outbreak going on in Justice League right at this exact same time. And now in Batman we have this virus outbreak as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I was kind of confused because, it has been coming out pretty regularly, but I was kind of getting my wires crossed about this virus thing because we were reading the Justice League before and we did a review on that first part of that. And so I kind of forgot that as the subplot there, but that was what affected the superheroes fighting Batman. Is that what it was, right?
Yeah, in Justice League, the Amazo virus, and then here it's this kind of Joker virus where, the whole city is kind of turning into Jokers, with the smile and everything. So to me, it's kind of like, my first reaction was that it's a little clumsy to have two virus outbreaks at the same time in two of the biggest books for DC.
Unless
but then once I kind of
right?
opened myself up to it, I'm like, well, no, it's actually kind of cool. You can kind of just look for parallels between them. So I'm actually all right with it, even though my first reaction was really like two virus outbreaks at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like it's almost it could almost be two separate comic books. Like that could be a story in itself. But this guy Scott Snyder, he just really does the character well. His dialogue when he writes characters like Jim Gordon and Batman is just spot on. The only part that I didn't like in the comic was when Batman fist bumped that kid, because that really didn't seem like a Batman move to me. I think Batman would be more like a handshake guy. I don't think he would be like a fist bump guy. Small complaint, but
What was your take on the art? For me, Greg Capullo, I've kind of always enjoyed his art on the Batman book since the beginning of New 52. What did you think of this issue?
I love it. I love his art. It's like a cross between like a very simple, clean line, almost like Batman the Animated Series, like Bruce Timm, and his own style with bits of detail in there. I love it. I think the way he's done every character, except for the way he draws the Joker now, is better than the way they kind of drew him in the first couple issues. But it turned out in those issues it wasn't actually the Joker, anyways. But yeah, I love the way he draws a lot of great Batman characters. Batman himself, kind of a nice, simple line, and less is more, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with everything about that. So I'm curious now. There's the big reveal. So if you haven't read issue 38 yet, we've already spoiled a few things. But the last page has Batman going back to the Court of Owls, which I think is going to be really fun because I thought Scott Snyder was just amazing with his writing of the Court of Owls, City of Owls, like that stuff at the beginning of the New 52. So this is cool to bring it back in, and thematically it makes a lot of sense because, like we were talking about with kind of the historical elements of both, it makes sense story-wise to knit these two together with this Joker from the past and now the Court of Owls. So I'm really looking forward to the next parts too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. When the Court of Owls first came out, there was a lot going on, and I liked it at the time. And then I've actually started reading that Talon series that came out after, and just the fact that he even like could make a new character out of all this stuff, and there's like so much backstory to it. It's really an interesting concept. It's probably one of the better creations in the New 52, and I'm really looking forward to see what they do with this because obviously it's not going to be a good pairing and something bad's got to happen from him having to team up with them. So I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So all right, we'll have to check out issue 39 next month.
Yeah, it sounds good, definitely.